get right. Let's 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 get right. You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Dilla T. And this is No Filters. Always appreciate you hitting that like button for me. Subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the episode. And share this with the world. And of course, family, when you come in, get comfortable. Get you something to eat. Get you something to drink. Smoke if that's what you do. Woo! Because you see the title, fam, is real. Let's get into this here.
I believe that we are already at the early stages, if not in...
Glory in the building.
And people
Comfortable,
should
Lord.
understand what is at stake, which is we are one misunderstanding, one miscalculated away
or even one AI-generated viral video
from nuclear annihilation.
Is there anything at all you're doing to prepare?
I'm leaving the United States by 2026.
But is there anywhere on this map that is safe at all?
So my understanding is that there's actually 3 safe zones.
You're right.
There's Hawaii.
No, because there are so many targets in Hawaii. And same with all of Europe. But there's one tiny little place right there.
Where do we find ourselves in terms of conflict and warfare now?
It's getting worse.
In the past, it was whoever had the strongest military. Now, you can destabilize a government or a society using a server farm and 20 people sitting in a room thousands of miles away.
And another real problem we have right now is that the different political parties inside the United States are so intent on taking down the other side. They do it at the national security peril.
So now Russia or China can play people off against one another and cause division.
Andrew, what do you think happens next?
Well, I think World War III is going to be shaped by what we call proxy war, where a wealthy nation state funds, trains, and arms conflict in a less wealthy state to decrease the capability of your primary target.
So they're using that nation to do the work for them.
Exactly right. That's already happening.
And what's the probability of nuclear war?
So here's a terrifying detail that the public does not know. So,
Wow.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like it when I ask you to subscribe at the start of these conversations. I don't like saying it, I don't like it being in there, I just like it. It's frustrating. Do you know what's also frustrating? It's also frustrating when I get to the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that listen frequently to this podcast haven't yet subscribed. And so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed because I see in the comment section, you say to me, you go, I didn't even realize I didn't subscribe. And that actually fuels the show. It's basically like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. So all I ask you is if you've seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. I promise. Thank you to all of you.
Right, I appreciate that because what he just said, do what he just said. You know you in here with your boy Dilla T. Let's get right now. You in here with my fam. And this is No Filters. Hit that like button, subscribe, because let me tell you something. It's free. Nobody's pressuring you. That ain't nothing but a double tap, a subscribe, the notification bell, and on all. And then get you something to eat, something to drink, and something to smoke if that's what you do, and get comfy. Because you see the title, fam, it's really real. This is what's going on today. We don't have time for the celebrities. We ain't got time for the bull. This is real life right now, what we talking about today. Put your eyes, put your ears on. Because you're going to have to tell your kids about this. Let's go. We cooking!
Guys that do subscribe means the world to me. Let's get on with the show. I invited you all here today because I intuitively feel like the world is changing before our eyes. And I think so many of us, if we're on social media or reading newspapers, can feel a sort of tension growing in society that is hard to understand if you're not an expert or you're not connected to these subjects in some way. I looked at some stats before this conversation that kind of support this feeling that I've intuitively had. And it shows that conflict zones across the world have increased by 66% in the last 3 years. In December 2024, the American think tank Atlantic Council asked about 400 global strategists about their thoughts about what's going on in the world. And 65% think that China will invade Taiwan by force within 10 years. About 40% think there'll be a world war in the next 10 years. About 50% think nuclear weapons will be used in the next 10 years. About 45% think Russia and NATO will fight directly. When we look at sort of spending and what's happening there, there's been a huge jump in military spending. There's now 300,000 NATO troops around the world that are on 30-day high alert readiness. 59 states have erupted in war since 2023, which is the greatest number logged in any year since 1946. And world military spending is up by about 10% year over year, which is the highest sum ever recorded by SIPR, making it a full decade of uninterrupted growth in military spending. Things feel tense, and every time I turn on the news, I have a mild sense of anxiety. So I've gathered you three here today to help me as a muggle, as a normal person that doesn't have an understanding, pass through what's going on, and hopefully what we could do about this. Benjamin, to start with you, introductions. What's your context? What's the perspective experience you bring to this conversation?
I was born in Iran in 1977. I came to the United States as a refugee under a program that President Carter allowed for Iranians fleeing religious and political persecution. My family came here on that basis. And I basically spent the next 40 some odd years trying to understand why I come from a part of the world that seems to be in sort of continuous conflict and turmoil, and exactly what can be understood about the forces that brought me here. I'm incredibly grateful to be here, and what can be done to basically change, or at least better understand it, to pave a way for change and progress in the future.
What age did you leave Iran, and what was the environment like when you left?
I was just under 3 years old, and it was a few months after, so the Shah had left in December of 79, and then we left a few months after that, around March. Khomeini had just arrived from Paris on a flight in February, basically taking control, and there was still a lot of anarchy and chaos as to exactly what the new regime would look like, what the government would look like. But my parents began to see that there were some, there were definitely mass arrests, there were protests, there were things that were happening that looked like those who were loyal to the monarchy would be targeted, which is, my family was monarchists.
Annie, same question to you. What is the experience context that you bring to this conversation?
I'm an author, a journalist, and I write about war and weapons, U.S. national security and secrets. And I'm interested in looking at the very sort of minutia of weapons and weapon systems and the people who use them. I've written 7 books, and all of them deal with war and weapons, and all of them deal with the Pentagon and the CIA specifically. So all of my sources come from those organizations, the military and the intelligence community.
And your last book we talked about last time you came on to this show. What is your last book about, and what sort of journey did you go on to gather the information for that?
So my most recent book is called Nuclear War, A Scenario. And in that book, I take the reader from nuclear launch to nuclear winter, which happens in a period of 72 minutes.
Woo!
And I interview presidential advisors, secretaries of defense, nuclear subforce commander, et cetera, people who are very close to the chain of command, people who have rehearsed making these decisions if they need to be made. And what I learned terrified me. And from the book has been out for over a year now, still in hardback. People are reading it in 28 countries around the world. This is a serious edge of peril topic. And I think we're here to talk about that because no time in my life, I think, have we been closer to thinking about this reality than right now.
Andrew, there's a few subjects and words that Annie mentioned there that also cross over in your story, one of them being nuclear war and nuclear weapons. What is your context, and what is the sort of experience and perspective you bring to this? What's your experience?
Yeah, I'm a former clandestine CIA intelligence officer, also a decorated wartime veteran from the United States Air Force during our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. I lived in this world that we're talking about, the world of conflict, the world of nuclear threats, the world of developing nations and political and military force as a tool to shape democracy, to shape diplomacy. And I'm very excited to get into this topic because I think there are certain areas here that are misunderstood, areas that are over-dramatized, and then areas that are not being spoken about that are very relevant and very compelling.
Wasn't there a period of your life where you were underground and part of that sort of nuclear chain of command that Annie described?
Absolutely. That's where my career started, actually, was with the ICBM, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Forces of the United States Air Force, overseeing Minuteman III missiles in Montana, armed with 10 nuclear warheads each, understanding the military doctrine, the strategies, the policies for how to execute.
So you were underground with a physical nuclear key?
Correct. Around my neck. And there are, even as we have this conversation now, there are hundreds of US soldiers, hundreds of Russian soldiers that are in very similar positions, and they're not much older than a high school graduate right now.
Many people think we're on the cusp of World War III, but I think you've said in the past that you actually think World War III has already begun in some context.
Yeah, correct. I believe that we are already at the early stages, if not in World War III. The problem is that people seem to think that World War III is going to emulate World War II. The deployment of nuclear technology and nuclear weapons now would look completely different than the deployment of nuclear weapons looked in World War II, if only because we have 9 nuclear-capable countries right now. Not to mention the fact that we have a completely different information landscape. We have a completely different political landscape. We have a whole different landscape for alliances and for treaties. The world is very, very different than it was when World War II broke out.
So you think we're in World War III now, with the early innings of that?
And I think World War III is going to be shaped by what we call proxy war.
What is proxy warfare?
Proxy warfare is when a wealthy nation state funds and trains and arms conflict in a less wealthy state, where there's usually some sort of civil disturbance or civil fight that's already happening. Much of what we've seen in the last 10 years is proxy warfare. Libya, Syria, Yemen. People argue that what we saw, even Afghanistan, Iraq, where the US was involved, was proxy warfare. Israel and Iran is model proxy warfare. Russia and Ukraine are also models for proxy warfare.
So there's someone else funding it, and they're using that nation to do the work for them, essentially.
Exactly right. You use a intermediate nation that's still developing to decrease the capability of your primary target, while you yourself conserve your own troops, your own weapons, and your own civilians against harm.
Benjamin, what's your take on that in terms of us being at the start of the precipice of a world war, and it looking like a sort of a different set of weapons, a different way that we'll fight each other, and the internet and digital warfare being a part of that?
I don't think since the beginning of the Cold War, let's go back to 1947 or 48, I don't think we've stopped fighting. I just think we're fighting wars of different kinds. And I think this idea of kinetic warfare is less frequent, especially among the major powers. So Israel and Iran is an example of one of the last few gasps of kinetic warfare. But if you look at the United States and China, United States and Russia, the European powers, NATO, it's less kinetic than it is more through use of information, through technology, through cyber warfare.
What's kinetic?
So kinetic is, when I refer to kinetic, I mean using actual physical means, bombs, missiles, tanks, soldiers, that type of thing. And it's less now, and it's more now moving towards other forms where you can now destabilize a government or a system of government or a society using a server farm and 20 people sitting in a room thousands of miles away. And you don't necessarily need weapons to do that, where information becomes weaponized, where digital tools become weaponized. And that's far different than anything we saw in the 20th century. So I think that the rise of the internet in the beginning late 1990s through the 2000s, we've seen now this become industrialized at scale. And I think the threat comes now from the ability of countries and regimes to destabilize and interfere with others in a way that they simply couldn't do years ago. And now you don't even need to fund it massively to do that. It's basically warfare on the cheap.
Mm-hmm. Before we started recording, I expressed to you that there's a certain tension in the world right now.
Yeah.
Where's that coming from, and why, in your perspective?
One of the things that's been evident to us, especially since the 2016 elections here in the United States, is this idea that we live in a post-truth society. And with so much information available to everybody on every platform, through every means and channel, there is now no monopoly on objective truth or fact. And so with that comes the ability to distort, to propagandize, to mislead, to misinform. And people do this to aggregate power, to bring power to themselves. And so when we live in a world where everyone thinks they know everything, or they're afraid that they don't know enough, you have a constant state of tension and anxiety. And people are uncertain about their place in society. There's a wealth gap comes into play. And with that, you feel like there's threats or perceived threats or conspiracies around every corner. And this is why I think lies and misinformation and conspiracy theories take hold in times like this, when people are anxious, frightened, uncertain about their place in society, about what's coming next. And that puts us in a very tense state. And very clever people can take advantage of that and manipulate to their benefit. So that, I think, explains why we feel this tension that we do.
The tension is clearly resulting in real changes. Those stats I read out at the start, where there's more nations in conflict now, there's more military funding, more people think we're on the verge of something pretty catastrophic than any time in the last couple of decades. That information, which is causing attention, is then having a downstream impact, which is conflict is breaking out.
I don't say it's upstream. You have polarization happening within societies, especially in Western societies, where there is no monopoly on the truth or news or information. You have the fragmentation of, let's say, major news sources. Traditionally, you have a few very respected, trusted sources and authorities or figureheads that people would turn to. We don't have that anymore. It's now been diluted to the point that it is almost meaningless. And so you see that social media has contributed to this. And so with that, these divisions, these schisms in society have made major industrial powers like the United States, like let's say the Europeans, more vulnerable to manipulation than ever before. So now if you're an adversary like Russia or China, Iran, North Korea, you can take advantage of the ability to tap into this polarization and play people off against one another, cause division. And that destabilizes democratic societies. And then that in turn enables these countries like Russia and China and others to have more leverage and more influence in the developing world. In the past, it was whoever had the strongest military. Now, you don't necessarily need the strongest military to do it. You just need to have the strongest information army and the willingness to do the dirty things that Western societies don't do anymore, but they used to.
I want to interrupt because I think there's an order of operations here that we're getting at that isn't clear. I would argue that ignorance starts the foundation for the polarization that is then capitalized on through this information warfare landscape. So I say that because I think it's important for us to understand that your statistics are relevant and correct.
Mama K.
Those statistics don't come first, they come after. The ignorance kind of comes first, the willing blindness to what's happening in the world. The willingness to just focus in on what your tasks are or what entertains you and let the rest of the world kind of do whatever it's going to do. It's that choice first that then leads to other countries finding an opportunity to manipulate the masses that are no longer informed as to what's happening outside of their world. I don't want to speak for you, but that's kind of how CIA handles clandestine operations when it comes to information security operations, is understanding we're not trying to make an audience ignorant, we're finding an ignorant audience and then giving them messaging to get them to take action.
The difference is, I would maintain, we've always been ignorant. The difference is now you can actually do something with that ignorance.
I want everybody in here right now to send Mona some love right now. Stop what you're doing and send Mona love right now. She needs to know that we here with her. She needs to know that we all have lost and understand it's a difference in who you losing and in the way that we have lost certain people. We truly have to thank God for the journey that we've had with people that we've lost, God, because Lord knows it was a pleasure and it was truly an honor to be able to be in a person's presence. I want everybody to send Mona love right now. Okay, what you doing? Because if it was you, you would want love too. Understand, Mona, wherever you're going and the way you go, I'm going to tell you right now, hear me. You know we with you. Ashley in the building, you know we with you. If you don't know nothing else in here, Mona, you know we with you, Lord. We thank you for it because we truly been through it. I've lost my brother and my sister, Lord. And you got to think about the times, because if you look at this world and even in what we're discussing right now, you can tell that you almost You thank God for the pleasure to know someone, but it's almost as if it's like, hey, I know you and I thank you for this, but we got to get out of here. Yeah, we got to get out of here. And we got to get somewhere else than here. So me and you can enjoy each other even more. And I really feel like that's the case in my mind with my brother, Antoine. Silk know what it is. Makila, Jer, I can run a list. You know your list. But you almost you gotta thank God that we knew him, that we was able to meet him, and that we had time to learn from them and enjoy them. But it's almost as if telling them, hey, listen, we got to get out of here, though, fam. We got to get out of here. We got to get away from here. Like, whichever one of us going to get there, like, let's get there. Like, but I'm going to meet you there. I'm going to see you there, fam. Just, we got to get out of here. So it's almost bittersweet to have lost and still know that it's a place that you can go to see them and be like, because we got to get out of here. This is not the place to be. You almost don't even want to bring life in this world because we know where we at. So it's like we got to be like, oh, man. Woo! What's up, family? Oh, man, this is great. My mother, my father, my brother, my sister, my daughters, my sons, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, distant and far and close. It's so much a pleasure, but we got to get out of here. We got to get somewhere else that's safer for all of us to dwell in peace. So I almost see it as fam said, I gotta get up out of here. I'm gonna see y'all in a minute. Y'all can stay there and suffer. I gotta get out of here. But I'll be there when y'all get up out of there. I'm gone, man. I'm gonna get at y'all in a minute. I gotta see it as that, Lord. That my people say, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna see y'all in a minute, but I'm up, G, because it's going crazy where y'all at. But I'm gonna see you. I got you. I'm here. I'm waiting on you. Like, come on. I'm here. I got everything. We here. We waiting on you, fam. Mona, we with you. Yeah. It's all good. Tears of joy. Because we all lost. And we all still here. And we still going. So always send love to Mona. So we know we in here had to address that because we family in here. Don't never get it twisted. Partner. We fam in here. You know you in here with your boy Dilla T and my family is what I say. And this is No Filters. Hit that like button, subscribe, double tap that screen. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. It's a reason why. Become a member. Because we cooking.
Manipulated at scale that you couldn't before. So ignorance has always been with us, but before at least people knew where they could go to find what they perceived to be a trusted source. So now that source is gone. That messaging is gone.
That skill is gone.
I have a different take entirely, and I focus on narrative. So I'm really interested in who tells the story and who gets to control the story. And what I watch happening a lot is that the story is controlled for a while and then it gets hijacked over and it's someone else's story. So it's like the end of the spectrum of what you're both saying, and you have the agency working really hard to grab it back. You've got the White House saying, we need to get our stakeholder press, and it's this. So you're running essentially like a kinetic war, a proxy war, and an information war at the same time. And I think that the information is what drives most of this conflict, which is why it's so interesting to me to speak to diplomats, the only people not at this table, right, that are like, because then that's only where I see the hope of kind of like take it down, because there's an ease that needs to happen when you can move the people from trust to paranoia.
I love that you mentioned diplomacy and diplomats.
Shout out to Mona
I
with
teach
the
courses on
$5
diplomacy,
donation
and one
in
of
the
the things I've
Cash
seen
App. You know
emerge in
it's
the last
love,
few
family.
years
I'm with
is
you.
this dichotomy between private diplomacy, which is what we were used to when we studied the Cold War and post-Cold War conflicts, and now we have public diplomacy. Almost all diplomacy, take the Iran-Israel war, the 12-day war, as Trump calls it. How much of that war was conducted via social media? This is now, so you have this public-facing diplomacy where you have, during wartime, leaders, their representatives, their proxies, conveying messaging both to their enemies, to their allies, and to a supposedly neutral audience, all through social media, right? So it is not so much the nuclear age, but the age of the algorithm and how that amplifies diplomacy in a way that never ever existed. And so this is, I think, this lends to that dilution that then others can take advantage of. Because at the end of the day, if you want to threaten a country or you want to garner support, how you articulate that via social media, whether you use all caps, and whether you use images, memes, all of these things play into how effective that is. And you see that most on TikTok, and when after the October 2023 Hamas attacks against Israel, the information warfare between the two sides and how it played out on college campuses. I was at a big one where a lot of that was taking place at UCLA, and how that played out on social media, and even among high school kids who I talked to, and their understanding of conflict is now shaped by what TikTok, which is partially controlled by the Chinese government, feeds them and chooses to feed them and amplify.
So here's a specific example which might be helpful to what you're saying. With the 12-day war recently, I think the White House wanted that to just be a bombing run. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Just a bombing run. We're going to go, we're so power. It was about power.
Hold on. Let me make sure everybody understand what's going on here. You understand, this just ain't just no conversation. Like, you seeing these people talk, but you ain't really listening. Put your ears on, fam. Just because they not talking how you normally receive information don't mean what they saying ain't valuable. I have brought this to you tonight because somebody don't believe this is World War III already. I've been saying it since, go check the channel. This World War III is begun. It's underway. We are at war right now. And you think it was like, oh, we at war, everybody don't go to school, find yourself, get shelter. No. We are at war right now. And let me tell you how serious it is. They literally using social media, and every time they have you sign in and do your face and your face recognition, everything, we are at war. This is all the tools and the weapons they're using against us right now. And the fact is, you ain't even tripping off of it because it don't hurt. My bad, let me say that again for somebody stupid in the back. You ain't tripping off of it because it don't hurt. But we're at war right now. Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband, hide your life. We at war right now. Yeah, right. Okay, so they just introduced AI. That's your enemy right there. Bang. Social media, they got us all against each other. Bye. Chaos and anarchy is right around the corner. Maya in the building, Kathy Rose in the building. You know what it is. Hit that like button, subscribe. We in there. Point I'm making right now. These people that's talking on this TV screen right now tonight, you better turn the volume up. Because they finna tell you what we in and what you need to do to protect you and your family. Because while everybody else right now at the bar, at the club, when they wake up tomorrow and find out the new World War III, they gonna sober up real quick. We at war right now, people. Get order. Get what you need to survive. Listen. You're scared because you ain't prepared. Let me write that down for the dummies that didn't get what I just felt that just hit me, Lord. That's real. You scared Because you ain't prepared. No, don't say that. I said you're scared because you ain't prepared. That's why you need to become a member right now. Because you need to follow Dilla T and my family members here. Because you scared. Because you ain't prepared. But we're going to prepare you. Hit that like button, double tap that screen right now. Double tap that screen right now. Listen.
Precision, take it out. And it was the press
Ruth in the
that
building
wrote
where you
America
been.
enters the war.
Yeah.
And that is a major headline. And that probably made the White House
taking place at UCLA and how that played out on social media and even among high school kids who I talk to. And their understanding of conflict is now shaped by what TikTok, which is partially controlled by the Chinese government, feeds them and chooses to feed them and amplify.
So here's a specific example which might be helpful to what you're saying. With the 12-day war recently, I think the White House wanted that to just be a bombing run. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Just a bombing run. We're going to go, we're so power. It was about power. It was about precision. Take it out. And it was the press that wrote America enters the war.
Yeah.
And that is a major headline. And that probably made the White House deeply upset because they don't want to be seen as entering into a war. And so I think another real problem we have right now with all of this tension ratcheting up is how angry, and I'm just talking about America now, the political sides are at one another. That to my eye, because I'm an apolitical writer, no one has any idea what my politics are. I write about war and weapons neutrally. But I can observe, and it seems to me like the different warring political parties inside the United States are so intent on taking down the other side. They do it, from my eye, at the national security peril. In other words, a headline against Trump is better for them than U.S. national security or world security. I'm curious what you think.
Well, I think we're all saying something that's derivations of the same thing, versions of the same thing, right? There's a massive information warfare landscape happening, and it is that fog of war that we look through that gives us that tension about what's actually happening at the ground level. If you think about conflict as being what humans will do to each other, there's layers on top of that create this distortion of what you can expect. And there's so much activity in the information landscape that it's very distorted what could actually happen. We have a term at CIA, and when we talk about covert influence, activities to shape information, we talk about volume and speed, which gets right back to your point about TikTok and social media. We've always engaged in information warfare, but the volume and the speed was much less and much slower because you had to fly fucking pamphlets and drop them out of airplanes and hope that the people reading it were reading the right dialect of Arabic or Spanish. You had to hope. And then once there was a rainstorm, all of your pamphlets are done. And if you're trying to make it look like they're not coming from America, there's all sorts of other layers to that. Well, now an algorithm that you don't even control is contributing to that. And then you got creators, content creators all over the place that have no added value to the content they're creating, who are just clipping, cutting, and putting things together and then further being amplified, right? So the volume of information is massive and the speed at which it disseminates is huge. And the algorithm can dictate whether you see it or don't see it at all. Mm-hmm. So while I appreciate your point of view, that there's this tension and there's this growing concern, I honestly think that your opinion on that is because you're informed and intelligent. And there are huge groups of people who are completely oblivious to where we actually are on a sliding scale of approaching conflict.
Where are we?
I think that's what we're really here to discuss. I would argue that we are not entering a phase of less conflict. We are going to enter a phase 5 to 10 years of more conflict, increasing conflict, a willingness to engage in more kinetic conflict, to use your term. I don't think that we're showing the various global power competitors of the world that it will not be tolerated. I think we're showing the global power competitors of the world that violence, kinetic attacks, cyber warfare, weapons development is going to be accepted.
My wish is that America could overcome her tribal anger, that a lot of Americans have toward one another that are in different political parties. Because I feel like America is a leader in terms of security and safety, or can be and should be. And that all of this amplification of the rhetoric is deeply dividing. The fancy word is divisive, but it's just dividing. And that if there's any place that one's enemies or adversaries, or call them what you will, can take advantage of that, it is right there.
Is that wishful thinking?
For me to say, I am a very wishful thinking person. I mean, I write about the grimmest, darkest subjects imaginable, with a smile on my face, because I just am naturally, I'm naturally optimistic. I'm the mother of two, college-age boys. Of course I'm going to be optimistic.
Andrew was just saying that he thinks there's going to be more conflict going forward. We have 9 nations now that have these nuclear weapons that some might argue creates stability, but some might argue that it only takes one individual. And you said there's 6 nations hosting those nuclear weapons. I don't know, sometimes I think, gosh, you only need one miscommunication or one mistake from one person who is, not doing too well mentally or having a bad day. That's kind of how I think about it. And I'm like, probabilistically, if you just stretch it out, at some point that's going to happen. At some point that's going to happen.
Well, you're absolutely right. And that is why, it'll be interesting if we maybe talk about Iran just from the, specifics about what happened and, why is or is not important. Because just having looked at nuclear weapons so microscopically recently, I believe that existential threat, the global catastrophic risk of a nuclear, of a flame that starts that movement toward a nuclear use, is a sort of line that must never be crossed. And so while all war is terrible, there is always a solution on the other side of the war. Peace can be made, but not with nuclear. And so that, I look at things right now through that lens, which is how I saw the most recent bombing.
You mentioned, Andrew, talked about Israel and Iran being a proxy war, so that kind of piqued my interest. I almost reflexively want to disagree, but I want to hear more about why you think so I can better understand proxy conflict from that angle.
Yeah, well, the way I see it, Israel is ratcheting up its aggression against proxies that Iran has been using to threaten it for decades.
Right.
But Israel is also dependent on American weapons to do that. It's also dependent on American intelligence to do that. It's dependent on American support financially and economically. So it needs America to wage its conflict moving forward. If America were to say, Israel, we don't support you, then Israel would take a different approach without a doubt. So the funding, the support, the intelligence flow, the economic support coming from the United States is what empowers Israel to prosecute its conflict. Without that support, Israel would take a different approach to the conflict.
But then proxy would imply that Israel's acting as an agent or at the behest of the United States. So the United States, rather than getting involved directly with Iran up until last week, operates through another entity.
That's the misunderstanding about proxy war. You're looking first for some sort of conflict that already exists. The conflict between Israel and Iran already exists. The proxy then, the proxy relationship happens when an outsider, a third party, comes in and exacerbates the conflict by putting more fuel on an existing fire. It's not that Israel is the agent of the United States. It's that Israel already wants to prosecute some sort of conflict. We come in and we're essentially the fuel to help exacerbate that fire.
So who's the proxy in this conflict?
Israel.
Okay.
Israel's the proxy for the United States, who wants to diminish Iran in the same way that Israel wants to diminish Iran. This specific conflict is so fascinating because every fucking body wants Israel to degrade Iran. Saudi Arabia wants that. The United States wants that. All of the European Union wants that. Israel wants that. Everybody wants to see a degraded Iran. So Israel, especially after what it's been doing in Gaza and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, Israel's desperate for anything it can do to win back favor for the Abraham Accords as a democratic country, you name it. It's looking for an option. And Iran is a very convenient option for them to build back relationships that they've killed along with the...
Okay, so for those that don't understand what proxy means, let's get clear in here, okay? Let's get clear in here. When we was talking about Iran and Israel having that fight, and then Trump just went over there and bombed them, because he told them that they was acting like some wussies, and doing too much and arguing too long. So he went over there and just bombed them for nothing. Go check the channel, a video up on that. So he ended up doing that without asking nobody. He just overnight just bombed they bomb site. Okay. Now, proxy is when you got somebody else comes in and they start to intimidate, manipulate, instigate, basically, the situation. To lean whatever their decision or whatever they want to be done, they come in and become persuasive to whatever. And that becomes more of the difference, because now you're using somebody's conflict to your best interest to create real conflict that you already have up your sleeve, which is an agenda, ulterior motive. So for you to already have motive, having motive and trying to find out what's going on, to have somebody else do your dirty work, basically is what he's saying that is. So this war that's going on right now, don't be surprised that the United States, us, all of us right here, right now, find ourselves being used as a proxy or using someone else as a proxy. Because all, at the end of the day, is for it to be world war at the end of the day. And it's funny because so blatantly would they choose on how to choose what they want to do when it comes to war, cause and effect, making something happen, a shooting or something that makes some type of law come about. That's the worst thing ever. Francie in the building. So he's saying this is the way that they're doing it now, 2025, World War III. They're using people. They're using other people's beef, other people's problems, other people's wars to get into it and create their own war. And right now, that's going to make you turn on your TV and that news channel you go past, that world channel, world news channel you go past all the time. You're going to start looking at that channel. Because those wars that are happening right now in other countries, those are the proxies. I'm going to tell you right now, that's the level of proxy that's going on. They using other people. That's like faking a fallout. They using other people's beef or other people's conflict, stirring it up. They basically stirring up other conflict and throwing it back out there. They stirring that recipe up and putting that same plate of conflict right back out there. And I bet you ain't even know that. I know you ain't know that till you pull it up right now. Hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. It's a reason why. You should have no problem with that. You ain't even know that. I just told you something you ain't know. You should have no problem. Free as can be. Double tap your screen. Like it, subscribe, join the family. You ain't even know that. You ain't know they using other people's beef, perpetrating other people's beef, other people them problems. That is war today. War today is whoever already at war, the United States, think about it, man. United States want to join war so bad. Oh, man, I got to pull this stuff up here, man. It's crazy. They want to, oh, my God. They want to get involved. See, that's the problem, and that's the proxy. Folk that want to get involved in war and act like you finna bully people to stop doing war, and then they look at you like, what? And the whole point is that war is done. So that's why we appreciate these amazing people right now for telling us this is what World War III looks like today. Double tap that screen, hit that like button, subscribe. Family is it's real. Become a member right now. Let's go.
The attacks in Gaza.
If their reasons are different, does that still make one a proxy of the other? So Israel's objections to Iran, and it's the reason it sees Iran as a adversary, might differ from the United States. There's a Venn diagram, there's some overlap, but there's also a tremendous amount that doesn't overlap.
Right.
Same thing with the Saudis, the Gulf states, other regional states that see Iran as a threat. They see it for different reasons. Does that still, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just trying to understand, does that still make them a proxy if their motives are different?
I would say yes, because it's not about the parts of the Venn diagram that don't overlap, it's about the parts that do. It's about the convenience of Israeli citizens dying, Israeli soldiers dying, Israeli weapons being spent. That's the benefit of proxy conflict. It's not American citizens who are at risk. It's not American soldiers who are dying. It's not American weapons that are being spent. We get to build our surplus. And if anything, we get to build extra and sell it to Israel, which is benefiting our economy. So this is the uncomfortable truth behind proxy war. It's all the benefits of a wartime environment without any of the risks.
But then what also happens, and you can look at Vietnam as a great example, is the proxy wars that are supposed to be low cost for the United States end up blowing up into being a disaster for the United States.
So I think of Vietnam, I think classic proxy war,
Yes.
right? Khrushchev gave that speech, I think 1963, whatever it was, about wars of national liberation. And then they would be fought in what was then called the Third World.
Yeah.
Vietnam being a classic case. There I see absolutely, right? First you had the French, in French Indochina, and then the United States bailing the French out. Arguably the French were maybe a proxy for US interests. They were part of that firewall that were keeping the dominoes from falling. But again, I'm trying to understand the Israel-United States proxy angle here. And that's a unique definition of proxy, I guess. Okay, so
I'll give you an example.
go ahead.
Butt in with an example.
Yeah.
You tell me if this is right or wrong.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, the Iraq War was a proxy war
Exactly.
for the same reason.
The Iraq War,
We
the
were trying,
2000, which the
George
2000
Bush and Dick Cheney's Iraq War.
Right.
We're trying to weaken Iran.
You think the Iraq War was an attempt to weaken Iran?
I mean, you pipe in here, but that's how it started. That was the original intention.
Mm-hmm.
And the deep, tragic irony is what we have now, which is Iran is running Iraq.
Why does the United States want to weaken Iran?
The United States
Because of what
wants,
happened to your family in 1979.
But why? But why does it? What's the beef?
Okay, shout out Mystic Rose says, hey, war equals profit for the ones at the top. Devil loves to kill, steal, and destroy. Again, Mystic Rose, I appreciate you. Mystic Rose says, war equals profit for the ones at the top, the elite. Devil loves to kill, steal, and destroy. That's real, and I appreciate it, Mystic. Because at the end of the day, that's just like, let me take you down memory lane. George Bush and them, the Carlyle Group, they invested in it. The Carlyle Group is a group of men, investors, invested in the military defense. Military defense. George Bush, Carlyle Group invested in the military defense. So that means if I invest in the military, the only next best thing for me to find my money or get money that we use my investments is that we go to war. I don't even think you got what I just said. It's about war. If the call out group don't make money or don't go to war, they don't make money if they don't go to war. They don't make money if they're not putting the military defense to use. So that is the exact situation here. So shout out Mystic Rose for speaking up, because at the end of the day, that's the point that we're making. There is profit in war. I can explain two of them right now. Profit in war, man-made war, money. Profit in war, spiritual warfare. You ever thought about profiting in spiritual warfare? How do we profit in spiritual warfare? It's two of them. There's real warfare that's being profited by the money and the bucks, the investments that these big elite people are making. But yet there's spiritual warfare and nobody's profiting. So when you think about how do you profit in spiritual warfare, the profit to me in spiritual warfare and understanding is what that do to your faith. Bet you ain't see that coming, did you? I know it. Let me say that again for the people in the back. The profit of spiritual warfare is the faith being built through the battle. I bet you be pulling up thinking you ain't gonna learn something tonight, but you about to learn something today. Two warfares. Physical warfare and the man-made and the flesh. We're talking about that money, profiting. Spiritual warfare. The profit is faith. Stronger. Better than ever. Because that allows you to believe in more of what that you are fighting your spiritual warfare with and what you're using. So if your faith ain't strong, my G, you're not going to keep fighting the spiritual warfare as you do. You got to believe to be able to fight it. You got to receive it to be able to fight it. You got to know it to be able to know what you're fighting. So again, spiritual warfare. What is the profit in spiritual warfare? Faith stronger. Or just faith, period. Faith, substance of it. Faith is the substance of things not seen, evidence of them not shown. You understand? So you got to understand. In that war, you don't get nothing out of it better than but faith. That you believe more what you going through and how to get out of it. That's the only way. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of them not seen. So we're talking about what do you get out of spiritual warfare, and then what you get out of real warfare. People are gaining and profiting money off of real warfare. That's all you gain. Death and money. People die and people gain from their death. But in spiritual warfare, demons are cast out, devils are cast on. And it makes your faith stronger. for you to keep going. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what we're talking about right now. Warfare. Are you ready? Hit that like button, hit that like button, double tap that screen, subscribe right now, become a member. Are you ready? Shout out to Mystic saying, what don't kill you, make you stronger. But God won't put you through nothing that you can't bear. We cooking!
The U.S. has with Iran.
Because they
I
had
know that-
hostages for 400 and something days in 1979, and we will not let that go until that is,
How is that? What does justice look like?
I'm not saying that's.
I'm
just saying
saying
that's.
why are we at war with Iran, or not at war, but why are we at conflict with Iran?
I mean, I think there's a lot of different valid answers for that. But where I would take this, especially to keep it really accessible to the layperson, right? Is that the United States wants zero competition for being the single superpower in the world. It wants no competition for that. It wants to remain the single superpower everywhere, because being the single superpower gives your civilians, gives your population security, but it also means that you have the lion's share of all the resources in the world. And basic economics teaches us that all economics is based on resources. So Iran's goals to create a Shia state, to create a Shia crescent of power and influence across the Middle East, is in stark contrast to what would benefit the United States. What the United States wants is to maintain a Sunni majority, because that's where the oil is coming from, is majoritarily for the United States, Sunni, wealthy, Khaliji states.
Even though Iran's the second largest.
Not for the United States.
Yeah, not for the United States.
But it was, right? During the United States' greatest period of prosperity, it was a bipolar world. So unipolarity is something we've had since the 90s onward. And yes, there's been tremendous success, but arguably unipolarity has been destabilizing.
What's unipolarity?
Where you have one world power basically dominating, which has kind of been the case since the end of the Cold War. And now we've seen a rise of other sort of poles, maybe with China being one. But you had, during the entirety of the Cold War, it was a bipolar structure. The Soviets, you had the US. And they were dictating everything else on the chessboard that was the globe, right, in front of us. And arguably, since the end of the Cold War, the unipolar system has not been very stable. You could say that, I think the stats you cited, the number of conflicts have almost increased since that time. What's the takeaway from that? What do you guys think?
I mean, this is where I think academics and reality butt heads.
Okay.
Because academically, I agree with you.
Okay.
And on principle, I agree with you.
Okay.
The world could be better if it was multipolar. If we had a strong Europe, and we had a strong country in China, and we had a country in Asia, and we had a strong United States, and if we could find a way to cooperate effectively and collaborate without conflict, I mean, academically, all of that sounds wonderful.
Well, I don't pretend that it's going to be friendly or cooperative. I think you can have multipolar where you still have adversaries.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you're saying that countries seek to be unipolar. They seek to be global hegemons because that gives them what?
No, countries don't do that. Once you are a near peer competitor, then you have no other option in the reality of it except to be the most powerful. This is why there's only one Olympic gold winner for any competition, for any specific Olympics. You can't have a tie, right? It's the reason why if there is a game that ends in a tie, it goes into overtime, because you have to have a winner. That's like, it's human nature. I have to know what my threat level is against you. So one of us has to be dominant and one of us has to not be, it has to be second to our dominance. And we can have dominance in different areas, right? That's why when I'm a guest in your home, I follow your rules. When you're a guest in my home, you follow my rules. There's an element of that that's all just built into our DNA as human beings. But what the United States has is it has global hegemony. It has all the benefits of the world's wealthiest economy, the strongest currency, the lead on technology. We've diversified our workforce so that we don't have to rely on manufacturing. We literally make money off of ideas in the United States, whereas a place like China is doomed to try to have human beings who do things with their fingers to make money. So when you have that level of power, you become very focused on keeping that power. Talk to any wealthy person out there and they'll tell you the same thing.
But war is a zero-sum game. The Olympics are a zero-sum game. Diplomacy implies that others can win. Not everyone can win equally, but multiple winners can emerge or multiple losers can emerge. We can all kind of share a spot on the podium. Two people can stand in the gold section. You know, you can split it. You can have a team sport, right? Where everyone's getting gold on that team if they win. How is that consistent with what?
Culture, this is where culture starts to lay in.
Yeah,
And I would say that the United States is a zero-sum culture.
I would say too.
Okay.
I don't think it's pretty, man, but I think it's the
I
facts.
also think it's interesting when I hear you guys talk. It's like, you can imagine what it's like in the White House. Imagine the president, he's having some of his advisors tell him exactly this, like, you know, the kind of big, we must dominate. And then you have his military advisors wanting specifics having to do with what their intentions are in their lane. And so I think it's what's interesting for, you know, the layman, which I certainly am on some level, is that when you begin, the more information you get, you know, this is like on the other side of that information is actually a great thing for all of us. You can begin to understand the context. Okay, wow, that's, you know, Andrew said that, and that makes sense. And so I think then you start to see as an individual, the world makes more sense to you. It's less threatening, like, what is going on? Oh my God, World War III is around the corner. But the president of the United States lives in his own, you know, silo and has so much incredible power. This just, the longer I report on all of this, the more I'm amazed at how powerful the president of the United States is. And if we look at the current president, how much more power is being absorbed there.
And the idea of them being in their own silo, I mean...
No pun intended, but pun intended.
Absolutely. I mean, traditional political focused, policy-driven presidents, they try to find a way to reduce the silo effect. Yeah. The current president has done the opposite. He's increased the insulation against expertise from people who have forged careers becoming experts in their field. Instead, he's surrounded himself with voices that are more interested in, who knows, media intentions, future political benefits, but they're not necessarily coming from an informed expertise like what we've seen in previous presidents.
And that's where I think you use the word context. Absolutely. I think that's perfect to capture it. It's the context. So, you know, content is what the three of us are discussing here. Context is what the cameras are recording, what editing is done afterwards, and then what gets disseminated beyond there. That is, you know, in a broader scope, that is the algorithm, that is social media, that is basically restricting the context to whatever the owners of that content feel it needs to be. And that, I think, also contributes to this sort of unipolar zero-sum mindset. And because only one algorithm can win. You can't have competing algorithms. We're trying to have competing algorithms with China, and they're winning. 2 years ago, I designed a war game simulation for a group of retired military officials, and we had some prominent we had governors, senators, national security staff role-playing the White House Situation Room. And one of the things that was interesting was my job. I designed this game. It was meant to be, what if a second January 6th happened, but this time the insurrection comes from within the military. You have defections from the military, National Guard bases, isolated bases, right? Could the Pentagon be prepared for something like that? What would that look like? And the White House was staffed with this incredible social media team that was meant to sort of signal to the American people and to the president and to everyone else what's happening. And I had 4 people playing the red cell. The red cell consisted of basically trolls, provocateurs, who aren't necessarily committed to overthrowing, but just wanted to, you know, to borrow.
And they just wanted sort of action.
It's like borrowing what you know, Heath Ledger said is the Joker. Some people just want to watch the world burn, right? He didn't say that, but it was from Batman, right? And the havoc that 2 or 3 people in a bar were able to simulate or to create versus an entire White House apparatus staffed with experienced people. These are people who were on actual White House comms teams, who had the training. We had military folks who had worked in defense intelligence, and you had 2 or 3 trolls in their 20s, some were veterans, who were able to absolutely cause havoc. And so that is because the algorithm, and I designed the algorithm to amplify their stuff, and the White House could not keep up.
That's fascinating.
You know,
that's terrifying. That
is terrifying. That is where I think the warfare and, you know, the idea of World War III and conflict, that is how you get to zero sum. That is how you get to who emerges with the gold medal, I think. So to back to your point, the context, who controls that silo, who controls the mic, who controls the aperture is going to matter more.
One of the things Donald Trump has shown us is how much of an economy of attention we really are in. And just like having the most money makes you wealthy in a fiscal economy. Having the most attention makes you very wealthy in an attention economy. And here's a man who, even when he wasn't president, was in the headlines every day. So I think that the unpredictability of what he's going to do moving forward doesn't bring us closer to peace. It doesn't bring us closer to proper communications. You mentioned, are we one miscommunication away? If we are, then we are in a very dire place because there is a lot of miscommunication happening.
Well, I've read the stories through history of miscommunications nearly resulting in nuclear war or some missile being launched. I mean, Annie, you've studied quite a few of those moments through history. I was listening to one the other day. I think it was a story of a Russian nuclear commander who saw something on the radar and he thought the US was striking. And for whatever reason, he decided to assume that it wasn't and reported back to his sort of overlords that it wasn't a nuclear strike and didn't press the button. But everything on his radar told him that the US had launched multiple missiles. Are you familiar with that particular story?
Yeah.
What is that
He's
story?
called the man who saved the world. It was 1983 and he was in a bunker in Russia. Their sort of equivalent of, we have a similar, a radar, a system that's looking at tracking satellite activity. And it was perceived that America had launched missiles from the Midwest, ICBMs. And you're absolutely right. I mean, you told the story perfectly. He decided not to raise the threat up the chain of command, which would have put the entire Soviet nuclear command and control on, massive alert. He just didn't do it. And it was interesting because he, was sort of really berated later by Russian command and control. But he got the moniker, the man who saved the world. There's a documentary about him that's definitely worth watching. And your point is what Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, said recently, which is we are one misunderstanding, one miscalculation away from nuclear annihilation.
Or even one AI-generated viral video that goes, that the wrong person gets the wrong idea from. Imagine the Cuban Missile Crisis, how close we came. And imagine if you had generative AI content that made it look like the Soviets had deployed or fired a missile or anything to that effect. We saw during this Iran-Israel conflict, I mean, how many videos on X I saw that showed devastation in Tel Aviv or devastation in downtown Tehran. I mean, they were obviously fabricated and AI generated, but the extent to which these things were recirculated and spread. And then I saw sources who I would normally trust sort of amplified these, not knowing until someone else pointed out, wait a minute, that's, from a video game or that's generative AI. And imagine if our decision makers didn't have redundancies or fail-safes in place to be able to identify that this is what that is, and they acted on a misread or something that they thought was real. That's what concerns me.
Are our intelligence forces more sophisticated than that? Presumably they're not on Twitter or something looking at videos.
Well, they are.
They are.
They are there as well. And that's a type of intelligence called open source intelligence. But the short answer is yes, our intelligence infrastructure is far more sophisticated than that. The intelligence infrastructure for for the majority of the 9 nuclear capable countries are very, very effective. France is very effective, the UK is very effective, the US is very effective. Even China's MSS is very, very effective. So sophisticated intelligence services are looking for corroborating evidence before they make an intelligence estimate. There is a challenge though, and we're seeing it especially in the United States, where the chief executive just disagrees independently, unilaterally, with what his intelligence estimate is.
What do you mean?
Well, you saw 2 examples in the last few weeks, right? First, you saw Tulsi Gabbard, who's the director of national intelligence, in a position that didn't exist until the failure of 9/11. That D&I position was born from the fact that we needed to have more coordination across intelligence services. And she came out and she gave an estimate that Iran was not imminently capable of creating a nuclear weapon. A weaponized nuclear device, right?
And how would she know?
Because she's the director of national intelligence. All intelligence, thank you, it's obvious to me, I understand, it's not always obvious to everyone else, but all of the intelligence services feed up. They feed up intelligence that's been vetted, corroborated, validated, up through a reporting system that goes to the director of national intelligence, whose job it is to advise the president on the current status of the most quality intelligence that we have. The president, as the chief executive, is the one person who the intelligence services work for at the pleasure of the president, But his primary mouthpiece for current intelligence is supposed to be the DNI. So when Tulsi Gabbard says, we have no reason to believe that Iran is imminently ready to prepare to create a nuclear weapon, the president is supposed to say, thank you, DNI, and then that becomes the information that he has. Instead, he disagreed with her. And then he said, that's not really what's happening.
Not just disagree, he shut her out.
Correct.
Shut her
I have a
out
different
out of
take on
Senate briefings, intelligence briefings. She's been marginalized.
And then she changed her opinion and came back. And I want to hear your disagreement. But then the second example I have is after the bombing raid of the 3 sites in Iran, the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is charged with collecting military intelligence from foreign targets, came back and said that we may not have reached total obliteration, Mr. President. And again, he disagreed. And he's like, that's completely wrong, total obliteration.
I have it's not a disagreement, but it's more like a different POV on all of this, which has to do with narrative, which I'm very interested in, of how, because the more people I interview at all these different levels, I begin to realize that we all are working from the same set of human conditions, bias
Yes.
and sort of like, and really my favorite one is the horse in the race. You have a horse in the race of how you think and the way in which you see the world. And I know as I get older, what I try to do personally is I try to notice where I am wrong. And instead of being defensive about it, be like, I was wrong about that. That's interesting, because then you can kind of evolve in your thinking and have a bigger POV. But I perceive Tulsi Gabbard making those decisions from the lens in which she sees the world, and her platform is very specific. You could almost have discerned that she was going to have that opinion, at least in my opinion.
She was a known commodity before she became
Yes,
DNI. So this is the feeling, I think, what you're saying
Yes.
is we knew
Yes.
she always saw the regimes in that part of the world from a certain framework,
Yeah.
and her conclusion
Yes.
followed her
Biases.
biases, her
Yes.
presuppositions, exactly.
And
her
maybe
priors,
priors is a great word, because we all have them. There's nothing wrong with this per se. It's just that, because I would take a totally different look at any of this if I was the DNI, and would be like, Mr. President, it's not as much about these things that everyone's arguing about, because let's face it, no one's going to know until time passes the damage that was really done there. Period, full stop. You know that. Right. And we all know that. And so what you have to say, and again, as a historian, I would say, what's the best example of why we should bomb this facility? And the best example would be North Korea. Because Clinton, so North Korea once upon a time did not have 50 nuclear warheads and the ICBMs to get them to the United States to take out the United States, which is what I write. There's my bias, my lens, my point of view. But I have studied this, and so it's interesting to me that...
Hit that like button, subscribe, and double tap that screen right now. You see what they talking about, don't you? They talking about the history of people having drones and being able to just press a button. It's somebody younger than you that's right now under the ground that's got the chain on that literally can press a button and change your damn life right now, you and your family. You feel me? Hit the like button, subscribe, because it's the reason why you here right now, fam. Don't forget why we here. In 2 seconds, we finna get it right. Bam! Raffle, fam. Get right. Let's get right. We about to do it. You had a chance. We all here now. It was $2 and it was $5 for the hoodie, but it's $2 raffle for the... Been told you, fam, it's 30 days. We about to do it. Be ready. You see it in the Cash App. You see it in the Super Chat. $2, fam, right now. We about to get it popping. Hit that like button, subscribe. Why? Because we cook it.
Dirty bomb. And so Iran went there and said, well, we're not quite at the 90% weaponization yet, but they exceeded 20. Every other country could arguably do the same thing. They could say, we're not going to build a bomb, but we're going to come very close, where if we feel that we need to do it in a matter of weeks, days, months, we could quickly do it if we think there's a threat. That's the threshold.
Do you think Trump was right to bomb Iran?
Do I think he was right to bomb Iran? I think diplomacy with Iran has been exhausted with this leadership.
Can you explain that to me? Because I'm really keen to just understand where this conflict with Iran has originated from.
Yeah. So Iran, up through 1979, it had various monarchies. The Pahlavi monarchy that came into power in the 1920s was the last dominant one, and it had built, at least through the Cold War, a close relationship with the West, specifically the United States. Iran served as one of the two pillars of U.S. power in the Middle East, the Saudis being the other. This is before Israel became important to the United States national security system. And so Iran and the Saudis represented really a projection of U.S. power in the Middle East. With the revolution of '79, that went away.
We supported the Shah, and
Absolutely.
And you tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So the United States and the Shah, the king of Iran, were extremely close. I mean, this peaked under Richard Nixon and Kissinger's time. And as a result, the Shah became very, very wealthy, looked to rapidly modernize the country. But what he didn't do, Iran experienced tremendous economic growth, but not political growth to match it. So what happens when a country becomes wealthy and becomes more modernized, becomes more European, which is what the Shah was trying to do, the people wanted other things that Europe had. They wanted free elections, they wanted free press, they wanted freedom of assembly, right? They wanted democracy to go with their dishwashers. The thing is the Shah said, I will give you all of the trappings of modernity, high rises, air conditioning, indoor plumbing, dishwashers, electric appliances, but this democracy that you want, that's pushing it too far. So you had this rapid economic growth, this uneven political growth, and there the seeds of revolution were planted. The people were unhappy and they said, wait a minute, why can't we have the other things to go with this growth? So the revolution happened with a bunch of different forces coming to play, not just the Islamists, but the Islamists were the ones that dominated at the end, and they cleared everyone out. They killed them, basically, marginalized them. And they have three pillars they stand on. Three, like, if you want to call it their mission statement. Number one is independence from the West. This Iranian regime believes no more dependence on the West like the Shah did. Number two is the destruction of Israel, or hostility to Israel. That is fundamental.
Why?
Because they see Israel as an outpost of American power, and arguably not colonialism, but they see Israel as a projection of US power. They also see, in their attempt to go to pillar number three, which is exporting the revolution to other Muslim Shia countries, they see Israel as getting in the way because it represents this non-Muslim entity in an otherwise Islamic part of the world. So it's inconsistent with their goal of expanding the Islamic revolution. You can't do that when Israel is literally in the way. So it has to go, or it has to be diminished.
And they've said that.
Oh yeah, this is Khomeini, the founder of the republic. These are his three principles. So you have these three principles. You take any one of them away, the whole edifice, the whole thing falls down. It's like a tripod.
I don't even really think y'all understand what's going on here. See, just because you don't get information the way you want to receive it on social media and you see the shorts and all of that, you probably ain't paying attention. You might have fell asleep. But let me tell your stupid self something. This level of information literally puts you in a position to be proactive. Not reactive, proactive. Because you're receiving this before anybody. And for those that did receive this, if they really did receive it, even though you believe it, it's a process. You got to hear it, believe it, and then receive it. Because you might believe it and still didn't receive it though. And on that case, that means you ain't gonna do nothing to get prepared. Because your stupid ass still gonna go back to right back to the crib, right back to Prize Picks, right back to the couch, right back to McDonald's. Problem is, when the headline read World War III right in your face, and I'm telling you this is happening right now because the way they're doing it, they're using other issues and dipping in those issues, causing havoc, anarchy, and then they're acting like they are the problem. So that's just like Trump hopping in a situation that ain't got nothing to do with him. Because you know, when he hop in, we hop in. Don't forget, anytime that nigga make a decision, we all making that decision. Because he's speaking for all of us. So that's why I brought it to you right now, because they finna tell you right now how many drones, what's finna drop, and where you need to be when it hit. That might have made your stomach turn, didn't it? I know it. I know it, man. Take your time. Breathe. You scared because you're not prepared. That is the only reason you sitting like that right now. You scared because you ain't prepared. But if this was on Fox 2 News in the morning, you really gonna get shook up. Why? Because it ain't just you. You got kids. Now what you gonna do? I'll wait. No, tell me what you gonna do. You know, war is war, but like nuclear war, that's a button. Yeah, that's a button, and that whole little section, gone. Yeah, just like, matter of fact, here in St. Louis, you know, the city gone, right? The weather did it. That's what they claim. But the weather did it, took the whole city. Took our whole city out. Overnight. The difference between nuclear war is, that button to do that in 2 seconds. My fault. Let me show you something, because somebody here don't believe me. That just happened early when they seen this, and when they seen it, they got scared as hell. Somebody's like, Jesus. You don't never call his name, and you calling it now.
I believe that we are already at the early stages, if not in World War III.
Oh,
This
listen.
doesn't look like the wars of the past.
And people should understand what is at stake, which is we are one misunderstanding, one miscalculation away
Or even one AI-generated viral video.
from nuclear annihilation.
Is there anything at all you're doing to prepare?
I'm leaving the United States by 2026.
But is there anywhere on this map that is safe in a war?
So my understanding is that there's actually 3 safe zones.
You are right.
There's Hawaii.
No, because there are so many targets in Hawaii. And same with all of Europe. But there's one tiny little place right there.
So where do we find ourselves in terms of conflict and warfare now?
It's getting worse.
And in the past, it was whoever had the strongest military. Now, you can destabilize a government or a society using a server farm and 20 people sitting in a room thousands of miles away.
And another real problem we have right now is that the different political parties inside the United States are so intent on taking down the other side. They do it at the national security peril.
So now Russia or China can play people off against one another and cause division.
Andrew, what do you think happens next?
Well, I think World War III is going to be shaped by what we call proxy war, where a wealthy nation state funds, trains, and arms conflict in a less wealthy state to decrease the capability of your primary target.
So they're using that nation to do the work for them.
Exactly right, that's already happening.
And what's the probability of nuclear war?
So here's a terrifying detail that the public does not know. So
Wow.
Listen,
Woo!
tomorrow-
Did you just get scared, didn't you? I know it, but hold up right quick. Let's get Jay together in here. Jay, what's wrong? That boy just said, what the F this dumb ASS talking about? You hear him talking? And then he said, this guy can't even spell nuclear, LOL. Then he said, this is we get Trump people this stupid are allowed to vote ... like what TF man? Ha! Jay also says, you realize these guys get paid by the amount of clicks they get on the video, right? They make the video scary to get people like you freaking out and acting dumb as hell. This is Jay Rogers. Who are you? Don't get them yet, Tone. We're going to keep them here. Hit that like button, subscribe, family. I appreciate you being here because it's people like you that let me further know that you need a leader. Because you following something. And something's going on in your world where you got to tap in over here in my house. Where my people at. And you came in on a good evening. Trust me. Because the time we got tonight for you, my brother, you should get a shirt, though. $2 raffle, baby. We about to do it. Is we ready? Are we ready? Jay, keep talking. I know you got some money running that mouth, boy. Get over here and get into this raffle. Cash app it now. Super chat it down. We're going to give you 10 minutes. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. You, Jay, because your mouth is going to sign some checks for these shirts, boy. Sign up right now. No, we going to wait on you. Let me hit my drink. Everybody hit the drink now for him. Hit your blunt for him. Hit your food for him. Get your feet together and sit down for him. This for Jay. Yeah, we gonna bring your stupid ass up to par today, brother. We need you to get a shirt. Yeah, yeah. What's your favorite color? You got a daughter? What's her favorite color? Trust me, we got every one. We customize shit over here too, partner. We're gonna get Jay Rogers and we're gonna put dumbass on her back. Let's go. Customize you, fam. What's your favorite color? Hi. You hear me, Tone? T-shirt champ. Did you send it yet, fam? So we can get to the raffle. We waiting on Jay. Yeah, we waiting on Jay. Come on, fam. Where you at? You talking? Where are you? Come here. Right now. We got a customized dumbass shirt for you on the back. I know it, fam. So trust me. Go to my store. It's lit. It's fully ranked. I got training bras for you as well. I got baby clothes for you, my boy. Yeah, everything customized, no filters. Keep coming. We waiting. Are we ready? Tell said hit that like button because he swole. I know it. He just got beat up virtually. All right, we ready. Let's get right here. Are we ready? Let me know if we ready right now for the raffle. Let me know if we ready for the raffle. Type yes right now. We ready for the raffle. Type yes now. One man, one woman about to win a No Filters Classic customized shirt, fam. Signed by your boy, Dealatofficial, and my fam here at No Filters. Truly appreciate you. It's all love. Type yes if you're ready. I need to know if you're ready so we can get ready. Jay, did you tap in yet? I don't see the Cash App, Jay. Where you at? Yo, dumb ass, you in here? Come on. Don't go nowhere. Stay here. Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. You better be the first dumbass to tap in. You hear me, boy? Because my family here ready for you all around the world. We ready. We going to make sure your dumb ass stay here. Yeah. We going to listen, we going to pin your dumb ass in the top of the comments to make sure Jay is the dummy of the month, baby. Yes. We're going to make sure, as well as they raffle this shirt, we're going to raffle your dumb ass every month. You hear me? Yeah. Shout out to the raffle, to the dumb ass of the month. I appreciate you, Jay. You just made a new situation going on here. You hear me? Yeah. Okay, are we ready, Tone? Shout out Jalea D. Sugar Rush tap in the building. We ready to get right, get real. Truly want you all to know I appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in because it's always love. This is deeper than that. We laugh and joke here, but the moral of what we're doing here in this story is that we learn and that we inform, understand, and be aware that if it walk like a duck, quack like one, what is it? You know what it is. We ain't here for the headline. We read in between the lines. We bring it light to dark and ready to get right. Are we ready? Now, listen to me. Tone, you know you the t-shirt champ. Mona, you the other t-shirt champ. So breathe, because we ready. Now, what we finna do is we're going to see the woman that wins, and we're going to see the man that wins. You hear me? One woman, one man. From fam, gonna win any color. You hear me? You see him, fam? Okay, now we're ready. This here get you a long way too. This like the work joint. Left pocket, yes. Okay, are we ready? Okay, now we have all put together what we got going. So we made sure we know who won. And we ready to do raffle. I'm gonna move all this out the way. Are we ready? Ain't nobody say yeah. Let me know if we ready now, because we about to do it right now. Tone talking about he got the green one. I know it, Tone is fresh. Fresh. I know it, boy. Now, I got several names for the women, several names for the men. You know what you put in the Cash App. You know what you put in the Super Chat, so don't do that. Don't act like you put 10 in, you put 2. Don't act like you put 5, you put 1. If you put in 3, we got you 3. If you put in half, that's fine. But if some of y'all put in there, I'm just supporting fam, I appreciate, because it was just supporting fam. But if it was raffle, we made sure it was raffle. So let's make sure we understand what's good. All right, we ready? Order. Do we have it? Let's recreate it. Okay, now we're going to do ladies first for the raffle. Let's do ladies first for the raffle. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Theme music. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I'm about to do it. 3, 2, 1. Spin. Shout out to Nikki Love, just won. Oh God, Nikki Love, Nikki Love. Everybody getting Nikki Love. Nikki Love just won. Shout out to her. You want to make sure we know Nikki Love. Let's clap it up with the claps in the chat. Now, clap for Nikki. Everybody clap for Nikki. Right now in the chat, Nikki Love won, fam. Woman of the month. What is it, September? Nikki Love September 1. Nikki Love September. Shout out to you. Congratulations, Nikki. So appreciate you being a part of it, family. You know what it is? Let that soak in for a minute. Just let her breathe. Everybody give her love. Give her love. Take your drink. Give her love. Get your weed. Give her love. Really appreciate that, nigga. Let that soak in. Let that breathe. You're day one. We appreciate this love and support. We will be in touch with you. Shout out to fam. You know what it is? Okay. Now for the real ones in the world. Men of the world. The ones that go through it and stay strong, because we who we is. Are you ready, fam? For the men. Tone, you know who you are, and you know what you did. T-shirt champ. Are you ready, fam? Let me know now. We in here. Okay, ready. Here we go. I'm about to do it. 3, 2, 1. For the men. Spin. Smith, there you is, fam. Smith, big dog. Smith won. Smith don't even know how he coming. Smith. Everybody show Smith love. Smith won. Smith come in every day. $2 every day. I ain't gonna even lie. His rap would be different because he every day with the $2. So he probably had like 20 in there. You hear me, fam? Shout out to Smith. Yeah, fam. Shout out to Smith. Everybody show Smith love now. Thank you so much. Sugar Rush. Yes. Huh? That is the September raffle, fam. Clap it up now. I need to see emojis now. Clap it up for the September raffle now. Take a drink, then. Woo! See how much pressure that is with the raffle?
I know it. Pressure on me, I'm all this money I'm giving away. Boy, you know them shirt cost? Go look in the store. Yeah. You better know it. Yeah. And then you customize it. That call me extra 20. It ain't against you, it's me. It's all love. We here. Always, fam, you know it's love. Always. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. You know what it is. We in here. It's 2 Hour Raffle. So, again, Mickey Love, Smith, September winners. We will be emailing you, fam, be in touch with you, let you know how we coming, how we going, how we living. Truly appreciate y'all. This gonna keep going, because you know what's going on, don't you, next month? We got the hoodies. $5 raffle, fam. Ain't no more two. We going to the $5 raffle for the hoodies, G. They in the post. Check them out. They will be here coming up next week, so we'll know you will see them live and direct how real it is and what's going on. Shout out to, again, Nikki Love, second female in September, and my dog Smith pulling up in September, showing the love and the rappers and all of that. It's real here. They'll tell you right now, Mona, we waiting on your picture. Tone, we waiting on your picture, fam, so we can make sure we post our very first female and male winners of the $2 No Filters giveaway raffle. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe. Become a member right now. Double tap that screen. I need to make sure that everybody hit that notification bell and it's on all when you hit that thing when I'm coming in. Act like you know what's going on. Why? Because we cooking, fam.
Listeners, I know you don't like it when I ask you. I don't like it being like it. Do you know what's also frustrating?
Yeah,
it's also frustrating
Tom.
when I go into the back end of the YouTube channel and I see 56% of you that listen frequently to this podcast
Wait on that
haven't
pitch.
subscribed. And so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed, because I see in the comment section you say
Send
me,
it to
"God,
the
you
email,
haven't
Tom.
subscribed."
Mona.
And that actually feels
Send it to
fair.
the
It's
email.
basically
Y'all know
like
what it
making a
is.
donation to the show. So that's why I asked
Nikki
all the time,
Love,
because it enables
Smith,
us to build and build and
email.
build and build. And we're going for the long term here. So all I ask you is, if you've seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team here, hit the subscribe button, and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all of you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me. Let's get on with the show.
I wanted y'all to see that part because it matters so much. So now we're in the position of when we're discussing where do we go when nuclear war begins.
Intermediate range ballistic missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. Okay, this is the first time in history that a ballistic missile was used in this kind of a kinetic war, a hot war. And I was on an airplane leaving London and I went, oh my God, is this that situation where I'm not going to land because there's a nuclear war? Because that is precisely the kind of thing I write in nuclear war scenario, where something's launched and the United States, because we have a launch on warning policy, launches before it lands because we're not willing to wait to see what was in that warhead. Now, what was in the warhead was nothing. The Russians launched an inter-range ballistic missile into Ukraine with nothing in the warhead. Why? I mean, this is so terrifying. Well, we learned later when Lavrov went on television, he said that he had notified his American counterparts in advance. I was taken to the State Department to see where that advance notice came into. And it's called the NERC, the National Nuclear Security Center in the state.
See what I'm saying? Now we talking. National Nuclear Center. So I would suggest that your homework be looking up the National Nuclear Center. Because that got something to do with you, me, family, and all our friends. As always, fam, you know what it is. Truly appreciate each and every one of y'all every week coming here, knowing what's going on, knowing I'm trying to make sure my family know what's happening, knowing that if I find out, I'm going to tell my fam, knowing that I know if you don't know, I'm going to make you know. It matters more to me than you think that we know what's going on each and every day. Why? Because it's always something going on. Each and every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. It don't get no better. My family here. You get a chance to become a member. You get a chance to hit the notification bell. You get a chance to subscribe. You get a chance to like. You get a chance to see if God wake you up that day. It is a free thing to hit that like button, subscribe, Art of War, Tanya. You know what it is in here. I truly appreciate y'all. Can't do this without you. Even when I started, I didn't even know where family was coming from. But let me tell you what's so beautiful about this thing. Each and every one of us haven't even seen each other. If I could say anything, all of you have seen me, but I've yet to see all of you. And the fact that all of you show love to each other and y'all ain't even seen each other speaks more than what the world is today. This is truly a beautiful situation for our family here at No Filters. And it's truly my honor and undivided pleasure to provide you with this each and every Monday through Friday, family. As always, 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's your boy and my family. You better get you something to eat. You better always have you something to drink. And you better always be comfortable when you pull up on me and my family here at No Filters. As always, family, thank you. And I appreciate y'all. Be careful. Be safe. Take your time. Think before you act. You hear me? Breathe. And just take a step back and say, no filters. I appreciate y'all, man. Good night, family. It's love.